Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Nurhadianty Rahayu, and on behalf of my co-researcher, Siti Ulfa Musyarofa, I would like to present to you about our research on entitled Standing on Middle Ground, when teachers' reflection and students' perceptions meet. We will start from the background of the study on why we want to address this issue in our research. The first thing to consider is that instructors' initial journey towards understanding SFL informed genre-based approach principles in teaching EFL writing. So this is the starting point that the implementation of SFL informed genre-based approach in the instructor's class, that is my class, is still in initial journey, so that scaffolding was still in between traditionally grammar-focused feedback and SFL informed feedback. The second one is due to this condition, students found SFL terminologies new and overwhelming when I tried to translate that in my teaching, because I myself needed to enhance the understanding first before transfer that to my students. Furthermore, students' confusion and decreased level of motivation also colors the classroom interaction. When this happened, I tried to make sense of the things that happen in my class, and my students also need to understand what happened in their class, so that I incorporate exploratory practice as a potential tool to elucidate what happened in the classroom and how best to strategize the next pedagogical move. The design of this study is hence exploratory practice, or we make it short as EP, and the analytical tool that helps elucidate the learning puzzle narrative is attitudinal analysis. So with the design of the study is exploratory practice, where teacher and students act as collaborators in their learning towards understanding what happened in the classroom and how is the best possible strategy to address this issue. But first important principle to exploratory practice itself is that we have to understand before we try to solve the problem. So this act of understanding the problem, the issues that happens in the classroom needs to be achieved first. Therefore, we also explore the reflections of students in the form of learning diaries and also learning puzzle narratives. The participants are 25 students enrolled in consecutive writing course orchestrated in 1 year period. Okay, EP is chosen as it enables teacher and students, like what I said earlier, to collaborate to explore learning puzzles they discovered throughout the implementation of SFL-informed genre-based approach to teaching writing. And the data here are collected from students' reflections in their learning diaries and puzzle narrations, and also during the classroom talk. After the class has been orchestrated and we discuss about the things that we can achieve, the things that we cannot, and what hinders and what challenges our learning. Here is the finding and discussion. The first thing is that I, as the instructor, make use of potentially exploitable pedagogical practice, or shortened as PEPA, as the middle ground where teacher can listen attentively to students' perspectives through students' puzzle narration that is expressed in the form of a short essay. So because I teach essay writing and paragraph writing, I try to integrate my willingness to explore students' learning puzzles in the form of their activities, their writing activities, that is called potentially exploitable pedagogical practices. So students' puzzles need to be organized as a short essay, just like what we really learn in the essay writing course. Initial teaching puzzle was, why can't I teach using simpler words? At first, I ask this question. But then I try to refine the puzzle by listening to students inside. Then the puzzle becomes, why can't I teach SFL information-based writing explicitly? Then leads to short essay form puzzle as PEPA in my class. So students learn writing at the same time, and students explore their learning puzzle along the way concurrently. And as the writing instructor was still in her initial journey towards understanding SFL concepts in writing pedagogy, there was also a shift to focus in the feedback given to students' writing from traditionally grammar focused to more functional ones. And this is the example of the feedback giving development. At first, the feedback was focused on only mechanical aspects of the writing and sometimes grammar, but in the more later learning stage, the feedback also includes authorial stance or the advice to make the authorial stance visible. Here, the feedbacks are using Indonesian language because I want my feedback to help my students navigate what they need to improve in their writing stage. Here is the samples of the development of the feedback given. Here is only about mechanical, like spelling and choice of words and error in the choice of pronoun because it should be her. The writer used his instead, and I try to correct the writing. But here I direct the writer to make authorial stance visible by also evaluating the facts that they found in the external sources and what they think about the fact. So they have to make that authorial voice visible. Here, the affect and judgment in students' reflection. I use the appraisal analysis to analyze students' reflection through learning diaries because it affords me as the instructor to assess students' insight towards the implemented learning design. That is genre-based approach design. However, if students expressed positive attitudinal evaluation, it might have been because they were reluctant to say things in most honest manner because teachers for them were like second parents. We in Indonesian culture, teachers are considered as second parents, like the equal position of their parents. So they have to respect them. They have to just, they don't hurt them with criticism, things like that. Okay, here is a sample of puzzle narration that my students made. So the puzzle narration here was organized in a multimodal way in which they also complete their narration with pictures that is relevant to their learning puzzle. Here is, why is the material in the learning of writing unfamiliar? And this one, the learning puzzle is about why learning to write is difficult. Here, there is negative judgment visible. For example, students say that they slow to understand, they have low education, they lost their brain cells, and negative capacity results in invoke dissatisfaction. For example, can I still continue writing in this state? This is very serious. So I need to step back, reflect, and make next strategies simpler. Here is towards a better learning quality because exploratory practice concerns to create a better learning quality. So the puzzles that students explore have been encouraged as PEPA, and the teacher obtained valuable inputs from the students to improve her teaching quality and enhance her understanding of SFL concepts to be translated in the classroom. And here we can see that attitudinal evaluation of affect and judgment can also enlighten the teacher and students to understand each other as learning collaborators. The access to students' emotional evaluation and judgment of learning also creates a safer space to adjust the learning pace as aligned to the teaching agenda. So the teaching agenda is not the sole source of learning activities that will be performed during the course, but also teacher needs to consider students' voice along the way, whether or not they need more scaffolding, whether or not they are ready to move on to the next level. This is very beneficial for me as the instructor, and also to create a safe space for my students to voice what they feel. Here we can see from the diary entry that is from the first week of February 2021, that students write like this: I like writing. At first, I thought writing in Indonesian, the language I use every day, and English was the same, but it was different. Because English was a foreign language that I was still learning, it was even harder to make an English text because I had to choose the right language or even have to translate from Indonesian to English. So from this diary entry, we know several hindrances that students discover during English writing learning, because writing in Indonesian itself is very challenging for them. Not to mention writing in a foreign language, it needs extra amount of time for them to reflect, to learn more about the vocabulary, about the grammar, about the function of all the things that they choose to be put in the text, and the linguistic choice that has an impact on the social communication purposes of their text, and so on and so forth. So we have to consider this as well. So the teaching agenda cannot be, like avoiding students' perspective. Here is the conclusion. What we can draw from the study is that exploratory practice can be adapted to open up a collaboration between teacher and learners to understand how the implementation of a certain concept-driven pedagogical practices affects students' learning. And it is okay for teachers to elucidate, to understand, to embody and internalize the concept that they want to translate in the classroom, and it is okay for students to give insight to the teacher about what needs to be done for the sake of a better quality of classroom life. So here's the references. Thank you so much. If you have any question, you may ask that to us. Thank you, everyone.